In this video, I'm gonna show you how to play the Riven reroll comp in the new patch. So in the last patch, there were a few things that were really broken, like Ari, Ezreal, that pretty much always went first. Now in this patch, a lot of, old A or B tier comps have really climbed up the tier list. So for instance, Disco TF has been really good this patch, as well as this Riven comp actually. And it's really weird because usually once you go for a 3-cost reroll, you typically want to roll for other 3-cost. Just take for example the Samira comp. You basically reroll for 5 or 6 3-cost units. But in this comp, you really only reroll for a 3-cost Riven, and the rest of your units are typically gonna be 2-star, right? So let's take a look at how the comp looks. So this is the basic variant of the comp. So what you do is you basically level up to 7, and at 7 you roll down for a headliner Riven. So either you get a 2-bit headliner or you get a edgelord headliner. So if you get the edgelord headliner, then you're actually gonna have to put in Quirky. But if you got the 8-bit variant, then there's no reason to play 8-bit. No reason to play Quirky. So then you can just remove him. But if you get the edgelord variant, then you just go for 5 edgelord instead, and also try to put in Quirky, right? But yeah, you at level 7 you start rolling for this Riven until you get her 3-starred. And it's fairly easy to hit as long as no one's contesting you in this comp, because you pretty much only play Riven in 8-bit, unlike Yone, where people play in Heartsteel. You can play in a lot different ways, so this is a lot easier to hit, right? Which is very good. And for itemization, this is actually really important for you to know, is that there's actually 2 really important things. The most important thing is Quicksilver. So as you can see here on the delta, which is the lower placement you get from building this item, you actually get almost 1 placement lower from just a single item, and that is the Quicksilver. Yeah, and it's basically just because of the CC immunity, so she doesn't get stunned, For the rest of the items you get a little bit lower for placement, but it's key here. You get 1 placement lower from this item. So you need this item, or if you don't have it, it's fine if you have like an augment that gives you CC immunity, then you shouldn't build this item because you already got the passive. But other than that, what you really want is some healing. So a Bloodthirster is what's best. Also gives her a nice shield as well. And from that point you build preferably, I would say it's a Titans. Works really well with the CC immunity, so it stacks up fast, as well as the Bloodthirster, so she's tanky and she scales up the Titans. But if you don't got it, then feel free to go for maybe a Guardian's Angel or some other AD item. The most important thing is that you got a cloak, some healing, and then another bruiser item. And for the rest of your itemizations, I really like to build Event Shroud, because basically 8-bit gives you a lot of AD, and having that Sunder remove armor from Event Shroud is really good. And since Mordekaiser is basically your only tank, you're gonna put that on him. So you can also throw in Sunfire if you don't got a red buff on him, and 1 tank item if you want. Preferably that's Crown Guard, because the shield and AP works really well with his kit. But if you can't slam that, feel free to go for any other tank item if you get too many components for that. And pretty much the only things you itemize, except these 2 units, typically, is gonna be Viego or Caitlyn. And you just go full damage on Caitlyn. No Ginso, no Shojin, unless you have to, right? The best is just Infinite Edge, Red Buff, Giant Slayer, perhaps a Last Whisper could be good, Deathblade. You see, all of those full AD items gives you pretty much one placement lower. Meanwhile, attack speed on her gives a little bit lower placement, and the Shojin a little bit. So you can see use flat damage on her is a lot better than attack speed or mana regen. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Just one thing I like to note is if you hit this Kiana unit, man, it's so good. Like, then you just throw in, you don't play Viego then you often play Kiana with Yone instead, so you get Crowd Diver, but it's really good. Like, if you high roll that unit, you're basically going first probably. And what's best on her is just any survivability item, Bloodthirster, healing with Hodge, or, you know, Edge of Night. I don't like building damage on her if I don't have like survivability or healing. I think that's most important on her, so she gets her ult cast off and starts stealing and copying items, you know. And then you can also throw in a random echo for true damage if you hit that. But other than that, I'll figure we'll talk a bit about, you know, the setup on the comp. And yeah, it's pretty simple. So you play, if you have the 8-bit variant, right, you play Riven, Garen, Caitlyn for the 8-bit. Before you hit this board, you probably play Corki before you have Caitlyn. And why you play Kayle is because yeah, she's an edgelord as well as Viego, so you get 3 edgelord with Riven, Viego, and Kayle. But Kayle and Viego, they're both pentakill, so you can get pentakill for 3 basically if you play these units. And yeah, then you just throw in more to hit that pentakill. And there's also a sentinel, so you get that low tankiness you need together with Garen, right? And yeah, that's pretty much it from this comp. Once you have 3-star Riven, you level to 8, get all your 2 stars, and that's pretty much it. Then you start pushing up levels and putting in the best units you find. So yeah, let's get into a video where I show you how to play the comp in a game example. So there's 2 things that are really good about the comp. Number 1 is pretty much no one buys this Riven comp except if someone is contesting you in the same comp, unlike other units. And the other reason that makes this comp really good is you often go for items like Cloak and Glove, items that aren't as contested in like carousels, so you can hit that a lot easier. And I mean, another thing is just, yeah, when you're at the level 7, you just reroll for 1 unit. And yeah, imagine like counter comps, they stay level 7 basically sometimes the entire game just to hit their 3-star. You can just hit a quick Riven with 6 copies of her and 1 headliner, and then you can start pushing levels. So that's, yeah, you don't have to stay level 7, right? So onto these augments. I really like Idealism, it's popping off this patch, so I decided to just take that. Since I have this 8-bit start, I can just have the Corki here as my item holder, start stacking up the 8-bit. And even though it's a pretty awkward item to have on, you know, a Corki, it's not like BIS, right? It's just temporary that I'm playing him. And it's gonna be really good on Riven. Typically, I think Bloodthirster is probably a bit better, but yeah, since we have this augment, she's gonna get a lot more damage. And I already have 1 tier on the bench, as you can see. So what I'm gonna do is probably just greed that for another Hand of Justice, so I can put that on maybe my Viego or even Caitlyn, you know, for the 12% increased damage of the augment, right? So we actually found a Riven here, so I could switch my item to her, but I need to start stacking my 8-bit, and this Cork is just a lot better now in the early game. So since, what's it called? Quicksilver is so important on Riven, I'm gonna pick up that Cloak. Pretty weird, right? The prioritizing, you know, a Cloak on the carousel. Not something you see, have seen in recent times, but it's actually something you do in this comp. So we're also gonna build that Titans on her, just a decent item. all around. Actually high rolling these Rivens a lot, not gonna lie. And yeah, we're actually getting a loss streak here, so I mean they nerfed the streaking a bit, as you probably know. It's like one more round for you to lose streak or win streak, but it's still, I mean I'm killing some units each fight, I'm not getting super bad losses, so also getting that streak gold is pretty good, right? So now we're just hoping for a glove here so we can finish our BIS. And also just trying to make 40 gold. Excuse me. So didn't find the glove just yet. At least we found a 2-star Riven. So that's pretty huge. And we're just gonna put in these tank units to give our Riven and Corki some time to finish off the enemy team without them being targeted right. So I'm actually pretty strong here. Might be able to streak if I just hit maybe or some upgrades that fit into my board, right? We'll see. I kinda need to start winning stage 3 though, so I don't lose all my HP, right? So tons of stats, it's really good. We get all the stats we need for, you know, frontline carries like Riven. Remember your roots, not as good here. But the thing is, Crash this Dummies is really good at, you know, the second augment, I feel like. If it was the last augment, I probably would take tons of stats. But since it's the stage 2, I feel like it's just really valuable to get that CC as well as, you know, having the enemies target the target dummies instead of my Riven and my front line. But if it was the last augment, I would value the stats more because you have some 3 stars and you have more units that benefit off it. But at the, you know, the early parts of the game, this is gonna be more value. Yeah, so you see, instead of Dummies hitting my Riven here, she's just attacking these clones. So that's really nice. And here we have Corki getting a ulti off on this Taric. Pretty nice, get some anti-heal off so the redemption doesn't kick in as much. But I mean, this guy was just pretty strong, right? So we're gonna lose that. So onto this carousel, I'm looking at this Gragas to be honest. But I figured I haven't gotten a single glove this game, so I'm probably gonna get it in the next minion round. Because there's a certain amount of, there's like, I think it's 4 of each component. And I've gotten like a lot of other components. So there's 4 gloves left and less of other components in the, you know, minion round pool. So the odds are pretty high that I'm gonna get a glove anyways. So I'd rather just pick up this Riven so I'm closer to that 3-star. Now I just need to hit a headliner and 2 copies of a Riven. So that's gonna be really nice. So boom. Got a nice CC off on basically his entire team there with the target dummies. That was pretty lucky, not gonna lie. But yeah, this disco stuff is really strong now as well. But no worries, we beat this guy. He didn't hit the board yet. So now we are leveling to 7. So what you need to do here is you sell the headliner you got. So we're gonna sell Corki here. And we need to roll now until we hit our headliner pretty much. Otherwise we're gonna start losing. And we need to win here, right? So I'm only looking at the headliner, you know, a Riven, and the boom there we just hit. And it's a 8-bit, so probably the best version in my opinion. Gonna have to sell that unit so we can buy the Riven. It's gonna be a bit awkward for some rounds here because we need to find a Corki or preferably a Caitlyn, right? But you know, we need someone that can hold these AD items, and yeah, that's gonna have to be Caitlyn, at least for the Giant Slayer. I'm gonna build probably a Hand of Justice on Kiana. That will be very good. Get some healing and you know, the augment passive on her. But I really want the Giant Slayer on the, you know, range carry, right? So here, some pretty good ones. Contagion Martyr, just decent augments. But I think I'm gonna take Harmacist. Healing is just so nice in this comp. Because, yeah, especially when you're playing like edgelords and frontline carries, you need them to have a lot of healing. If I was playing like a Caitlyn carry, I wouldn't care that much about Harmacist. But now we need the Kiana, we need Riven, Viego, these units to stay alive so they can keep dishing out their damage. And it's also a pretty nice combo. You know, Harmacist converts healing into damage. And I already have a bunch of Hands of Justice that gives me healing. So that together with Harmacist is gonna give me more damage as well. That's a pretty nice combo. But, you know, I already have 2 items on this Kiana, so I actually decided to put the Giant Slayer on her. You see get the 3 items online. Because the more items you get, you basically have a percentage, you know, scaling damage. So like putting a Giant Slayer on this Kiana is gonna give me a lot more damage than putting it on a Caitlyn. Even though I feel like it's a bit better item on Caitlyn. So we really want this Kiana to try to 2-star her, but sadly it got taken from us. What can you do, right? So I'm just gonna... I scouted a bit in the lobby and pretty much everyone was playing AD, I believe. So I decided to just get 1 tank item online here. So a Bramble Vest on Mordekaiser. Maybe there was a few disco players, but the rest were playing AD, I believe. So just getting a Bramble is just gonna help me beat players like Yon and all of that. So this is actually a really close fight. We're actually gonna lose it right here. But, you know, it's all good. We'll scale up and beat this guy later. We still have a lot of units to hit right. So for now I just decided to play this Akali, just for the true damage. That's basically all she is. She's just a trait bot. But I'd rather have an Echo, even though it's a free cost. And it's just because, yeah, I have enough damage in this comp. I really want to, you know, just get another tank in. And, you know, he's also Sentinel, right? And, yeah. I mean, we already have Sentinel in though, so maybe we could actually play Akali, but I feel like we're not even gonna be able to itemize her. Because we're gonna put our AD items on other units, and yeah, she's gonna be pretty useless. So, now we finally get some edgelord on this Riven. So that's probably why we lost the last fight. We really need edgelord, it's really good. You get a lot of attack speed, you never build attack speed on her. And she's also used dashing to the backline and one-shots enemy carries. So here I'm gonna build a key item, so that's gonna be the Sunder item, what's it called? Even Shroud, to remove their armor. It's gonna give my Caitlyn, my Kiana, my Riven a lot more damage. Just because enemies have less resistance. And off that item, I feel like the only item I could really build there was a Sunfire, and it's a pretty good item. Get some anti-heal and some burn to get through their front line a lot easier. And we're of course gonna put that on Mord just because he's basically the only unit that stays alive for a long time, and I need him to stay alive just so he keeps proccing the Sunfire and Event Shroud passive. So of these items I have what's it called? You know, this tank item, Protector's Vow is called. So I could slam that, but I think I'm gonna greed a bit. I think Kiana, if we're lucky, she can copy some items. Oh, she died here though. Maybe my Riven can jump to the Ezreal. Oh, she jumped the wrong way, so we're gonna lose this fight. Happens, you know. What you gotta do, right? So this Ezreal has pretty much BIS, so that guy was really strong as well. So on this carousel, what do I want? Let's think. Probably some Caitlyn items, honestly. So I'm down for IE or Runans if I don't get that. Alright, we got it. So that's pretty big. So we're gonna put that Infintage on Caitlyn. And we're gonna put in Echo over Akali, just for some more frontline. and some CC. I think it's actually more valuable. And we're pretty much just rolling now for our 2 stars, you know. Yeah. So what I should have done in this game, I feel like, is maybe put in Yone over Kane, just so we get Crowd Diver. So I think that's maybe a mistake. Because I don't feel like Kane is gonna do that much without items and without him being 2-starred anyways, right? So this Akalius one-shot my Caitlyn, unfortunately. But it's all good. The main carry is Riven anyways, right? And yeah, Riven just beats Akali in a 1v1 most of the times, right? So yeah, we're just donkey rolling pretty much for our 2 stars. So I could have lost the shop there, but I decided I just want this Caitlyn for the next fight to ensure I win it. I think it's more valuable than getting both Echo 2-star and the Caitlyn 2-star. Since I'm pretty low HP, it's a very close lobby, so every fight counts a lot here. If I had like 100 HP, I would lock the shop, but it's not worth it here. Need to make sure I get highest placement as possible. And yeah, that fight was really close. But if I win that, that would have been a Caitlyn diff. It was like 1 crit difference that I lost that fight, you know. Pretty much. Was that close. And here, what are we looking for? Maybe just, yeah, it's just 2-star Kiana. So let's pop open this item. So I actually realized I'm facing a lot of Akalis, and I think it's Cardus I was facing, I don't remember. Yeah, a Cardus and Yone Edgelord that can get to my backline, Cardus who can ulti my Caitlyn and one-shot her, and Akali whose ultis on my Caitlyn as well. So even though I could have built Runas, which is better on Caitlyn, in this case I actually took a Guardian Angel on her, just because, you see, she doesn't get one-shot now, so this is actually gonna make her do more damage, just because she stays alive for a longer. Because she basically have one get out of Yale free card. And yeah, so that's the power of scouting in the late game, to see what item, you know, is good against your opponent. It's not always what item is best on my unit. Some cases you gotta go for what item is best against my enemies, right? So I feel like this Guardian on Caitlyn is really huge, actually. And you know, now we have Edgelord, we pretty much capped out our board, so this Riven is just gonna demolish this guy right now. So it even beat a Yone carry, and if you have faced a Yone 3-star, you know how strong that can be, right? So that just shows you how strong this comp is. So yeah, now we start to give up on this what's it called, Kiana printing item. So I decided to slam that tank item on Echo. Honestly, pretty good. Just get some more frontline going. And yeah, this Kiana just randomly got onto this Cardus, so that's really huge. Just gonna one-shot his carry like that. So on this carousel, yeah, even though I already have a Sunfire, I'm just gonna take a red buff, because this item is so good on Caitlyn. Gives her attack speed, is meh, but you know, free attack speed. Also gives her more damage, as well as, you know, she can spread a burn to more units as well. So it's not bad, even though you typically shouldn't build the Sunfire and the red buff together, but in this case it was just worth it for the, you know, getting the last item on Caitlyn and just the damage and the attack speed. And yeah, this fight is really close, actually. You can see this TF Disco comp was pretty, you know, mediocre last patch, but it's actually getting a lot better now. It's actually probably one of the best comps after, you know, all the buffs and the nerfs to other comps. And we're gonna sell Kane here. Even though it's a 5 cost and Viego is a 4 cost, I think the damage reduction on the pentakill is gonna be better, even though I put in that unit. So this is gonna be the last patch, or last, not patch, last fight. Let's see if we can clutch it out. But thank you guys so much for watching. If you're new to the channel, sure to subscribe for more TFT Set 10 content. I appreciate it and it helps out the channel. Peace out, guys.